It shouldn't be that hard. Oh, Nolan, here we are. We've got let's make sure we're live this time for real. But Monday Night Football, there we are. We're good. Chat, give us a thumbs up there. You don't have to give the video a thumbs up. Just give us a thumbs up because I just want to make sure you can see us. And there we are. So, yeah, we've got some very exciting stuff going on here. We've got the New York Jets hosting the New England Patriots. And this should be a good one, Nolan. We've got, what do we have? A whole bunch of nothing here. Now, the pricing on DraftKings, phenomenal. They made you make some choices here. Brady, Edelman, jacked up. Defenses are popped up. It's been everywhere. So this has just been a mess in and of itself, trying to build teams. But I like that because otherwise we were going to get 5-1 for nothing but Patriots. But then now it seems like we have some decisions that we have to make here.
Yeah, absolutely. You're bang on there. They did a great job pricing this up.
All right, and I want to go. I'm just gonna make sure, since no one gave us a thumbs up there, I want to make sure that we have. Oh, there we are. Good, we are live. Okay, so Inactives. I finally found a good inactive page. Wouldn't you know it? Actually, is from NFL.com/inactives.
No way.
Once you find it, it's pretty good. Sundays they tend to be a little slow on releasing the inactives. Well, before the Sunday night game, but I think just because there's so much other stuff going on throughout the day. Now, Monday, they do a pretty good job, and we get them out generally 2 hours before the game instead of the usual 90 minutes. But from the New England side, no surprises. Rex Burkhead out, Josh Gordon out, Ryan Izzo out, Matt Lacoste out. So no tight ends. Oh, hey, good God, that's Ben Watson music. 38-year-old Ben Watson, who our projections are very friendly towards tonight.
Yes, yes, they are. I noticed that when I was building lineups on Sunday, and I had the wrong thing selected. I was like, "Why am I getting so much Benji Watson here? What's going on?" So Austin was loving Benji Watson tonight.
So 42-year-old Tom Brady throwing to 38-year-old Ben Watson. What could go wrong? And then 37-year-old Nugent coming in to kick the extra point.
Benji Watson's 38 years old.
I think he is. Oh,
I didn't know. You're right. He's been around doing nothing for 16 years now.
He's been in the league forever. Like you're like, wait, was that Ben Coates or was it Ben Watson who was with the Patriots way back when? But
that's right. He was with the Patriots way back when though. I'm spacing out on this. He was on those 2004 to 2009 teams.
Yeah,
crazy.
It's everything old is new again, I guess. So we've got him in our lives. We know that Phillip Dorsett is going to play. Now, he's been limited in practice with a hamstring issue for the last couple weeks. So since last week and through this week's practices. But he's suiting up. So he makes me a little bit nervous because you never know when something's going to be re-aggravated. Hi, David Johnson, looking at you, friend. And the other guy, Edelman, very spendy, still dealing with the sore chest. And, oh, shoot, there was one other news and notes that I had there that I want to talk about. We'll come across it. On the Jets side, nothing to worry about there. Chris Herndon, he served his 5-week suspension and then injured his hamstring, so he's not playing again tonight. So that's the main group of people that are out, but no tight ends at this point for the Patriots. Now, this will be the second time these two teams have played, and the Jets got 2 touchdowns against them last time. 2 special team, a defensive return and a special teams touchdown. So I don't know what we draw from this, but here's the thing I'm gonna set down for you. The Jets have allowed 4 or more sacks in every game except 1 this year. How do you feel about the Patriots defense tonight? They're spendy. We only have to make that decision on DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, with defenses, there's so much randomness. They're so tough to predict. I think, like Alex Osmo Baker was he was off the Patriots the last time they were in a showdown slate, and they ended up being great. And I agree with his logic though, just because they were getting so over-owned. Now it looks like they are not getting much ownership, but that's because they're so expensive on this slate. So you're looking at $7,200 on DraftKings, which is just insanely high for a defense. I don't think I've ever seen a defense priced that highly. So for me, just from a price point standpoint, that's probably a fade. From an ownership standpoint, I don't think you need to fade them if this is the way, if that's the lineup construction that you're building, because we have them at about a 29% chance at being one of the top 2 to 6 plays, and they're only getting about 23% ownership in that utility spot. So I like the Jets a little bit more. I think there's some recency bias here with the Patriots defense. They're not going to keep this up all year as well. Patrick Chung is, I believe, out for them. So any other defense injuries, not looking like too much here.
Yeah, Michael Bennett, Patrick Chung. We knew those two were going to happen. So
not the biggest deals. I think. I mean, Patrick Chung is a bit of a loss, but so I think that, you know, for me, it's going to be, I'm going to lean more towards the fade. I'm going to lean more towards the Jet side of things, just because I kind of like them a little bit more than the spread in this game. 9.5 seems last time out the Patriots dominated them with Luke Falk at quarterback, so that's a pretty big difference.
All right, 2 things I got to do. One, I'm going to drop the link to the projections in the chat, the YouTube chat. They are free. You can find them on the site. They are free for today for the Showdown slate. So if you go to osmo.com and just go up to the NFL header, slide on down to where it says Daily Fantasy Football. On that submenu, a whole bunch of other submenus will pop, or selections will pop up, and then just pick the Showdown projections. So we do want to call that out. And then I'm giving the Twitter shout out. We got one from the Pat Nasty. So, Pat, thanks for watching the show. He tweeted out a screenshot of me and you, so we're good. So, Pat gets a shout-out on the show.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, there we go. So, we'll do that. Anybody else wants to tweet us out, we'll give you a little shout-out as well on Twitter. You guys
on social media, it's great. We do these shows for free, and we try to give them out for free. So, the more exposure we get, the more likely we are to keep being able to do them, and we greatly appreciate all the help that you guys have liking the video and sharing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm out there. It's at EMACDFS. Big shocker there. Nolan's a little tricky. It's at Nolan, but there's 2 underscores between Nolan and Kelly. Was there already a Nolan underscore Kelly?
Yes, there is. There's like every inclination of my name is Tate. Inclination? I don't know.
Iteration.
Iteration. Thank you. Is taken, and I'm not creative enough to come up with a good Twitter handle. So there you go.
All right. So let's see. So that's we got the free projections out there. Oh yeah, and then we've got the old sponsor, FantasyDraft. So give a shout out to them. Now they don't have the single game slates, but hey, it's basketball tomorrow, 2-gamer. So if you want to play over there on FantasyDraft, reminder: everybody can play their rake free. Now, how does that work? How do they make their money? Well, they have a little bit of a subscription fee. So I've signed up for myself there for $5.99 a month. I can play up to $1,000 for that rate. If I was playing that same $1,000, it would cost me about $150. Which is better, $150 or $5.99? So I take the $5.99. Just throwing it out there that it's not a bad site. I want to come here and see. Ooh. I think I must have played a lineup there because my account balance changed. Ooh, yay me. But in any event, we've got some interesting contests. They're doing a $350,000 Hooters main event, $50,000 to first next week. So props to them for doing that. And again, everything's rake free. So everything that goes in gets paid back out. And on these guaranteed prize pools, if they don't fill, they make up the difference. So this is a really good deal. The only thing you're going to say is, oh my God, they're going to charge me 3% when I input some money and make a deposit. That's okay. The 3% plus that $5.99 is still way less than the $150 that you're going to pay at the sites that don't charge you to deposit your money. They only charge you 15% every time you play. So keep that in mind. All right, Nolan. That was the house cleaning. Let's get back over here to what do we got? The game. Let me get up some of my screens here. I want to talk about the builds I've done. Reference a few things that are coming out in my that I did in my article, because I do the showdown articles for each of the prime time games or matchups, and I'm going to put that one back in the YouTube so people can follow along, because I also include within here targets, snaps, routes run, etc. So it's a nice look at things. I've been tweaking around with that format. We'll probably just go with the more recent 3-game or 4-game stretch coming up now that we have 7 games in the pipe. It seems to be a little misleading from time to time, but it's a nice overall picture that we can see where some of the things are going. And I say how many games the players have played. So the few things that popped out to me are, one, Demaryius Thomas revenge game today. He even came out and said he felt like his time was wasted in New England. Now, he did thank them for helping them get him healthy, but remember, they cut him, re-signed him a few days later, and then that next week traded him to the Jets. So he's not very thrilled right now. We've got a little video out there on Twitter already of Tom Brady giving him a little care package before the game. I don't know what was in that, but he was a little thank you gift, it looked like. So starting with Brady on this side, what do we want to do? Because we can't just say, oh, Brady, Edelman, and White. You can make that team, but you're playing some Ryan Griffin and Sam Ficken, because who doesn't want to yell that? That's a Canadian thing, right, Nolan? You'd be yelling. If he makes it and you roster him, you're like, yeah, frickin' Sam Ficken. And if he makes it and you don't have him, you're going to say the same thing. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. What do you got here from the Patriots standing out for you?
It's tough because the game script says they're going to probably go run heavy. The Patriots are always a little bit difficult. I think they're one of the tougher DFS teams to plan for because you really just never know who's going to get involved. I mean, we saw the Brendan Bolden game, I believe, last time out. Let me just check his numbers. Yeah, so he had just 3 carries for 23 yards, but a touchdown, 2 receptions, had a touchdown in the previous game as well. Rex Burkhead is out. I think my favorite play on the New England side is probably going to be the Sonny Michel in the captain spot, hoping that it's a Sonny Michel game. Cuts down on a lot of your need to correlate or to worry about too much about the rest of the New England side of things, because if he goes off and he's the captain, it's more than likely he's going to be having a pretty big game and probably getting quite a few touchdowns, and that will take away from the other New England Patriots touchdown. So we have him projected for about a 12% chance of being the top player on the slate, and he's getting about 6% ownership in the captain spot. So that's my favorite play from the Patriots side. These wide receivers are very difficult to figure out for me. Josh Gordon is out. Julian Edelman's in. Phillip Dorsett is in. I'm guessing that's gonna make Gunnar Olszewski maybe the victim of playing time. He probably won't get as many snaps. But we saw like Matthew Slater mix in. We saw Jacoby Myers mix in. So there's a lot of things going on here. Jacoby Myers got a 70% snap rate last week with Dorsett out. Olszewski got a 61% snap rate with Dorsett not playing and Gordon leaving. So it's kind of tough to figure out which of these wide receivers is going to get the most playing time. I think you're just better off peppering them in small doses and mass multi-entering. If you're mass multi-entering, you can just have some lineups with Olszewski, have some lineups with Slater, have some lineups with Jacoby Myers, and just kind of hope that one of them ends up correlating well with your Tom Brady teams.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one. I'm playing. I tried to get some Tom Brady in the captain spot. It's kind of hard if you're playing as receivers on DraftKings, because you got to pay that 50% premium for Brady, and then you got Edelman already, who's 11,200. So I only ended up with 13% Edelman. I ended up with 13% Dorsett. Hamstring issue makes me a little bit nervous. So I'm worried there. One thing we do want to note with Gunnar Olszewski, he dealing with a hamstring injury himself. He does see the field since the cupboard's pretty bare at the wide receiver position, but who knows what's going to happen there. Plus, he's a special teamer, so I don't know. What do you do on special teams? You run really, really fast down the field. That's not always something you want to do with the hamstring injury.
You could go for? Are you going to go for the double up? Are you going to pair him up with the Patriots defense maybe? The old double dipper?
The old Cordarrelle Patterson that got one there yesterday. Hey, former Patriot. But you've got Demaryius Thomas is the guy I ended up with 30% of. Robbie Anderson, 64% of. Jamison Crowder, only 4%. So it's kind of interesting where things went. Now, I'm doing 75 lineups. About half of my in-play money is on 74 of them, and then the other half is on one lineup, my main lineup that I put in some head-to-heads and some three-mans and such. That one does have Brady as the captain. I don't know if I have that up here still, but that one had Brady, Edelman, White, Ficken, Griffin, and I forget who the other guy was. I think I left like $1,000 on the table because it's kind of a mess. If you want to maneuver other ways, I would think James White makes for an intriguing captain, particularly on DraftKings with the full PPR, or potentially Edelman, because we could see Edelman get, he could have a 2-touchdown game today, and he doesn't necessarily need Tom Brady to have a good game for himself to have a good game. Hey, you know who had a good game yesterday? Aaron Rodgers. You know which one of his receivers had a good game? None of them, because 5 different guys caught touchdown passes and one went to each of the running backs. So weird stuff happens. Jacoby Myers is the one I wanted to point out. I don't know what to do. He's on the field a lot. Rookie, what's really going to happen with him? You mentioned the snap rates and stuff. He has, 10 total targets on the season. Now, he has caught 8 of those passes for what looks like about 120 yards. I'm just eyeballing that there. We don't have him for a great projection, and he's not really cheap. So I ended up with just 7% of Jacoby Myers.
He's just like, it's going to be a boomer bust option. It's really tough to figure out where this ball is going to be going. For routes run, it looks like he's run 88 routes on the season, which would rank him 6th on this team. But which is actually really not that bad when you consider that Josh Gordon is out there. I think that Jacoby Myers is probably more of a like-for-like replacement for relative to Josh Gordon, but I don't know. It's so hard to figure out what these Patriots going to do. If you guys got any insight and any info that we're missing, but Myers is 6'2" and 200 and is a big-bodied threat. I think bit of a red zone threat there. Whereas you're probably looking at Olszewski as more of a Phillip Dorsett replacement. That's my guess, but that's just a guess.
Yeah, and the interesting thing with this is, and I called it out, I said, the Patriots are nearly double-digit favorites. This is in my article. I said Coach Bill Belichick is probably going to pull out just enough to win, the old Milton Berle joke. Most of you guys don't know who Milton Berle is, but nonetheless, Uncle Milty's funny joke. So I said this could mean a multi-touchdown game or less than 250 yards. Who the hell knows? Because it's the Patriots. I mean, if they can run, then that's what they're going to do. Now, the Jets actually have a decent defense. So that should not be lost here. And did you know that the Pats have allowed 7 sacks in their last 2 games?
That's a lot of sacks.
That would be a lot against Washington and against the Giants. Their first 4 games, they had 4 sacks. So they've had 4 interceptions and 3 fumbles. So the Jets have a good defense. What's going to happen? Well, I don't know. Did they use up all of their mojo scoring the 2 touchdowns on defense and special teams the last time these teams met each other a few weeks back? I don't know. It's and I'm being facetious here. We don't know what defenses are going to do. You can have the worst defense in the league and you can still get a return touchdown. Weird stuff happens. So let's see. Let's talk a little bit about the Jets. We got about 25 minutes to go here. Let me just go check this out. So moving on to here. So Sam Darnold is making, I believe this is his 3rd start this season. In the 3 games without him, the Jets scored 23 points. In the 2 games with him, this is against Buffalo, good defense. Against Dallas, solid defense. They scored 40 points. So he's clearly a bit of a difference maker here. Except the problem, Nolan, the Patriots defense top 5 against every position from a fantasy perspective. And they're pretty much top 3 in damn near every advanced defensive metric. This is a really, really good defense. You've got the McCourty brothers. I'm blanking on their main cover guy. They've got a really good. This is not the Tony Brown playing defensive back Patriots. Troy Brown.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've been legendary, this defense so far. I think part of it is just because of these cupcake matchups that they face every single week, but they rank really well in DVOA as well. So DVOA takes a lot of that into account. First against number 2 wide receivers, top 10 against number 1 and other wide receivers, second against defending the tight end position, and 8th at defending the running back position. So all in DVOA. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Jets, but they are at home. I'm a Bradford believer. I like the kid. So I'm leaning, depending on the ownership or depending, but my general philosophy is I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards the Jets tonight, but that could be just absolutely fraught with danger. So.
All right, Darnold, not Bradford. Running back Le'Veon Bell played the Patriots almost every year. It felt like in the playoffs for a stretch there, or late in the season, deciding who was going to go to the playoffs when he was with Pittsburgh. That is neither here nor there, but this is a tough matchup for him. Now, he is going to be the engine of this offense. I can see some dump-off passes going to him. That makes me feel good. But Frank Gore, 17 carries for 109 yards, is the only running back to have more than 50 rushing yards against the Patriots this season.
Yeah, I'm a believer in Bell. I think generally, if your opportunity trumps matchup, I think more often than not in DFS, he's pretty reasonably priced as well. I'm not seeing that doesn't seem crazy to me. His target percentage, he's got 9, 10, 4, 9 targets. Only one last week against Dallas. He's one of only 3 running backs to be getting a 90% snap count so far this season. It's Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, and Le'Veon Bell, all above 90%. The next closest person is 80%. So I think the volume and I think the pass catching upside and his work in the passing game just trumps any matchup related concerns here. And he is one of our best plays on the night. We have him at 15% in the captain ownership, projected ownership. We haven't given about a 25% chance of being the top play on the slate. So don't be afraid to load him up. I think he's not even, I don't even think you need to worry about game strict. I don't think you need to worry about the matchup. He's going to be used. He's going to get usage. And he should be one of your core plays tonight.
So this just occurred to me. Now it's an anecdote. So the relevance tonight is going to be in the moral of the story. I remember back when Curtis Martin was with the Jets, phenomenal running back, he was amazing. He was going against the Baltimore Ravens. That was the team that Trent Dilfer rode to a Super Bowl. Yes, that Trent Dilfer. It was a defense like you've never seen. And I remember season long, I'm like, I can't play Curtis Martin against the Baltimore. And I think it was even on the road. He scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, and I think he had 3 for the game. And there he was languishing on my bench. Point is, these players are very, very good. We don't want to freak out with some of their matchups. We only have, counting the Patriots, 27 running backs to choose from today, but realistically only 1 with the Jets because Ty Montgomery kind of an afterthought at this point. If we look at, go ahead.
I learned a lot as well from Osmo, from Tom, from Eddie, from all these pro DFS players that we have on the site, and that is that the matchup, the target, the matchup is secondary, the targets and the volume and the workload. That's always, matchups are always a secondary way of analyzing how a player's fantasy projection.
Yes, I believe was it last year or was it 2 years ago? DFS Twitter had the whole defense doesn't matter debate.
It was last year, yeah. It was actually Josh Hermsmeyer, I think, that started that. He's going to be on the contrary this week with Alex and Spag. So Saturdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, if you're around and you want to see Josh and his talk about his air yards model, he's going to be joining Alex and Spags.
All right. Well, Spags is going to fanboy out because he likes to talk about his air yards.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't like air yards? Speaking of air yards,
Josh hates air yards.
In there, or?
All right, wide receiver here. Moving along, we've got, of course, Robbie Anderson, Jamison Crowder. They're healthy, which is not something you can say about a lot of these Q tags here. You got Demaryius Thomas, who's been dinged up, but he has played the last 2 weeks with the same issues, still obviously learning the playbook, etc. But there has been one player this season that has topped 100 yards receiving against the Patriots. It was Golden Tate, 6 for 102 and a touchdown. I would not have guessed Golden Tate.
Well, slot, does that mean you're going to go and get more Jameson Crowder shares or what?
I have a lot of Crowder. I am playing, the bulk of my games tonight are on DraftKings as they normally are, but I put in my, quote, main lineup on FanDuel as I'm writing the article. I like to put that in a GPP, a few three-mans, and then I like their 50-50s better than DraftKings. So let me see who is in that. I'm actually doing very nicely. For some reason, I decided to play Latavius Murray in my flex spot on my Thursday through Monday, so I'm winning a lot of money over on FanDuel. I did not do that on DraftKings, so not good times for me. So I've got Brady, White, frickin' Sam Ficken, Sam Darnold, and then Jamison Crowder. I even stuck with Crowder there just because I feel like their lack of a tight end, now they haven't had Chris Herndon all season, so you're looking at Robert Griffin, who's going to be on the field, but how many targets is he going to get? I can just see Crowder in the slot having a better chance. I could see the Patriots maybe not worrying about giving up short underneath dump off stuff if they can, get 3 and out, or if they can force it into 5 or 6 play drives before they end up getting a punt from the Jets. So to me, that bodes well. And it's like running into a gigantic brick wall. The Patriots defense, where do you think we have the best chance of success? It could be Le'Veon Bell or it could be Crowder. I don't think it's going to be Robbie Anderson, but if you told me who's the wide receiver most likely to score a touchdown, I would say Robbie Anderson. But I also would not be surprised if he had 3 catches for 38 yards and that on 10 targets and that was it. So
yeah, I think this is like, I really like rostering Robbie Anderson in GPPs, and I think there's no reason not to shy away from him. But New England has done a really good job of containing big plays. They've allowed the second least plays of 20 yards or more to opposing wide receivers, and the second least plays of 40 yards or more to opposing wide receivers. And of course, that's Robbie Anderson's specialty, is breaking off the big one. So I think it's pretty hard to take the top off this Patriots defense. I mean, if anyone can do it, it's Robbie Anderson. Let me just look up his ownership here for you guys and see how he's doing. So we have him just straight across the board. He's a pretty neutral play in every single scenario. 25% chance of being in top 6, 25% chance, 25% ownership, 4.6% captain ownership, 4.3% chance of being at the top play tonight. So pretty standard across the board. I think Robbie Anderson's probably a pretty good play in your captain spot if you want to take that risk. He's priced down, and we still have him as a pretty decent shot. About a 1 in 20, 1 in 25 shot at being in the top play tonight. So at that price point, that's not too shabby.
Yeah, I ended up on DK. I've got I have 73% Brandon Bolden. I don't know how to feel about that. I've got 66% Ryan Griffin, plus he's on my main lineup. 64% Anderson. So I did go Anderson there in the tournaments, but I went with Crowder on my main lineup there. And then it's the kickers. And then I capped Ben Watson at 50% because he was coming in at like 80%. I'm like, he hasn't really played yet this year. He served the suspension, got cut, and hey, now he's back with Izzo and Lacoste sidelined. So I didn't know what to do, and I kept saying, their average age of the tight end and quarterback is 40. Brady's playing career next year is going to be old enough to buy a beer. That's wild.
It's crazy.
All right. Chat, you can throw in a few questions there if you would like. Wrapping up New York tight ends. Ryan Griffin, price relief. He's going to be on the field. He's their only healthy tight end. I will be thrilled with 3 targets. I will be happy with a catch in 15 yards. He gets me about 3 points on full PPR. That'll be what it is. Finishing it up there with defense. I don't hate the idea of the Jets defense. This is a DraftKings only play because the FanDuel doesn't have the single game defenses. But the thing that you want to remember is you can only lose 4 points at the most for points allowed. So basically that's like 3 sacks or 2 turnovers. So it's not an insurmountable hole or task. Losing points off points scored, plus anything scored by the defense doesn't count against it either.
Also, if you're rocking that New England Patriots defense, in pass protection, the Jets have been abysmal this year. They ranked 31st in the NFL in adjusted sack rate, 13.6%, 25 sacks given up. So probably another reason to load up on the New England Patriots defense tonight, despite the price. I don't know. I feel like an idiot for not playing it, but I don't know. I go back and forth.
Yeah, with where they were priced, I actually had to lock them in the captain spot, so I got a few with them. So I made 5 lineups out of my 75 with them. So my captains is kind of spread out equally between Brady, White, Bell. I'm missing somebody. Edelman and Rose. Darnold. Sorry, Sam Rosen. I'm out to lunch here. I'm reeling from the Seattle Seahawks loss and the Huskies lost. So
I enjoyed that loss a lot. As a 49ers fan, it made me enjoy our 2-game lead a little bit, and I don't have to stress too much about this matchup coming up in a few weeks.
Did you know, and no you didn't because I haven't told this story before, but I actually got one Jerry Rice's autograph when he was a rookie. I went down to the training camp in Thousand Oaks, California. We were driving through from a trip visiting family in Southern California, and I got his autograph.
I got one right here too. Not to bogart your story there, but we followed the 49ers when they were here for the America Bowl back in 1998. Followed them around town. I was like just in high school. Watched like Steve Mariucci get dragged around by his wife into like lingerie stops and stuff. And AJ Stokes hit on every woman that was walking by the street. It was great. So much fun. So yeah, that's my story. I got a ball signed by all of them. But nice. Jerry Rice, kind of a jerk to everyone.
Really? He was like the nicest guy, but that was before he'd played an actual game. He actually talked to me for a minute, and his handwriting very pristine. And then the veterans like Russ Francis and Bill Ring and those guys just scrawls. Freddie Solomon was just, you couldn't even tell what it was. So, but anyway, and then this woman was like, "Oh, who's this guy? Who's number 80?" And I turned, I was like 12 years old. I turned and said, "That's Jerry Rice. He's their number 1 draft pick. He's gonna be good."
Little did you know.
So there we are. That's neither here nor there, but it's a fun story nonetheless. Over on FanDuel, I've got Brady in the captain spot. You don't have to worry about salary there, the premiums. But there are some decent choices this evening between White, Edelman, Brady. You could make a case for Darnold. I mean, he could get 3 touchdowns tonight. It's not a likely outcome, but gosh, did you think that Latavius Murray doing his best Alvin Kamara impersonation against the Chicago Bears monsters of the Midway defense, even though they're lacking one of their key run stoppers? Did we see that one coming on the road? Probably not. So, strange things happen, but that's something you can look at. Now, the one thing you want to keep in mind on FanDuel is the ownership or popularity, as I prefer to call it, is much stronger on these better players because there is no penalty or you don't have to pay a premium to put them into that 1.5 times scoring slot. So that makes the game theory that much more important. And as we saw, you can build chalky lineups as long, if you're different somewhere. I believe this one guy named Tom JK 321 got 13th in the Millie Maker this weekend. He played the 3 most popular players. I think he had on that lineup Hilton, Fournette.
At 0.21%.
Yeah, and then he had the just a non-existent now I'm doing it, Matt Stafford pick. So you can do it. And then Lofty and Manny had a nice discussion about the sum of the projected popularity or the ownership versus the product. And it's something that you also want to consider, because even though we had very chalky players, he had 3 incredibly 1, 2, 3% guys, and that can balance things out. And you wouldn't have known that by looking at the total. I think they said it was like 120 or 150, but from that standpoint, the other thing he did is he went all in on Fournette. They said he had like 99%.
Wow. Yeah, he's been known to do that. He when Christian McCaffrey had that massive game a few weeks ago. He was at like 99% Christian McCaffrey too. So that's one of the things, like, you can, if you tune into OTC as well, like Alex and I have a Yahoo show that we talk a little bit about stuff like that. It's all about this GPP strategy is a lot about pairing really good value plays and really good chalk with low owned flyers that may have a chance to go off. So sometimes it's tough figuring out which the ones those guys are, but this is a lot of, I've noticed these guys doing that a lot. It makes a lot of sense. Ship my money. These guys were all in on the Rodgers at quarterback option last week because he was just so low owned in such a great spot. I think partly because people didn't know how to pair him with. And then look what happens. He goes off. You probably didn't even need to pair him off and pair him with anyone to win, to be honest.
Yeah, you would have been better off if you had Waller on the other side coming back and very, very good team. So there are different ways to do it. Now it's a hindsight thing. Yeah, it seems easy to look at that now, but that's what we kind of have to do is envision different outcomes and different game scripts or game flow or whatever term you would like to choose, and build around that, because that's you need to hit on everything in these darn showdown games to have it be good. Now I'm not really a fan of showdown football. I don't really like showdown basketball. I like showdown hockey, particularly in the playoffs.
It's hard because I like to correlate my lines as much as possible, and you got to pick that captain spot now, and it's so hard to like choose which captain you should be picking. But
yeah, that's mucked up my strategy, so I've had to back off. But I had a very successful NFL playoffs doing that. But I went and I looked and I researched and I kind of taught myself how to build the lineups and all of that, and they've tweaked it, which is fine, because I'll take the time to look at it and figure it out once we get more into the winter and I've got more data to look at and figure it out. But for the football one, I have a mental block and I have a hard time building these just wacky out there lineups, which you really need to get to. So that's why I like to do the 3-mans or the single entry 50-50s and a few head-to-head games. I just find that, and then I just build the one lineup and I'm happy with it, and I try to get the safest one. I let other people make mistakes, because people do some silly stuff there with what they're doing with their captains and things like that. They like must be throwing their tournament teams in there, but I don't do nearly as well in tournaments. I'm not profitable most weeks in tournaments, which is not a bad thing to say. It's just that these things are so darn top heavy, and I just don't like the format. So I've been playing more of the leagues, which from 3-man to 100-man. That's a better payout. If you have a 1% lineup, you really are 1%. You're probably finishing first, second, or third, and you're getting more than 2 times your buy-in, which is a good thing, as opposed to, yes, I won't be having any 5-figure scoring nights, but I also don't have to redeposit. So which would you rather have, the chance to win a 5-figure night and redeposit a lot, or not have to redeposit and go from there? So just putting it out there. And this whole rake free thing over on FantasyDraft, I was been talking with some of our guys. I'm doing a podcast here. I'm clear after this with Adam, because we got basketball starting tomorrow. We'll talk about that after lock here, just what the offerings that we have coming up. But those guys are saving so much in the rake that they're, I've seen more and more people playing their 50-50s over there, head-to-heads, all of that, because it's all encompassing. Yep. So now, if you win, you literally like have to win 51% of the time to make money. Yep. Whereas now you need to win like.
Yeah, I've never been much of a cash player, but man, if you want to play cash using Osmo's rankings, I'd imagine you'd do pretty well over there. So great point. If you want to play some cash games with people on FantasyDraft, do it. It's great. It's also it's been filling up lately, so I feel like people are getting on board, and the more we vote with our dollars about where our money is going to go and where we want to go with these higher rate tournaments, I think the more likely we are to start seeing some lower rate tournaments in the future.
All right, this one is for Tamar Green in chat. They say Brady can't run. Who had 2 touchdowns last week? Oh, it was Tom Brady.
I feel like, he can just sneak it. What were the odds on that? 100-1 or something? So.
I don't know, but that was it was like, man, now Belichick's he's openly trolling Sony Michel at this point. So. Oh no, it's like not even Brandon Bolden anymore, though he got a touchdown too, and now it's Tom Brady. But in any event, Good point here. So, Wedo says, cash games make me sleepy. If you're going to be playing a lot of these slates, it's well worth it to, and I like the 3-mans because if you win a 3-man, you get a better return than min cashing, which is what you're probably going to do in one of these giant tournaments, unless you get lucky. So I think it all depends on your perspective. Mine is, I don't have to redeposit, and I get a withdraw, every quarter, every other sport. So that's something that works for me. And I used to think they were boring. You can still find ways to have them be fun. Now, you know what's not fun in cash games? I got swept the last 2 weeks, basically. I'm exaggerating a little bit. 98 points 2 weeks ago. This week, 101. That horrible. I made solid decisions, I thought, but I had 5 players on my my main cash lineup that did not get double-digit points. They had single-digit points. That's scary, Nolan. That's scary.
Yeah, that's not so good. It happens though. It happens.
It does. But I'm ready for the next sport here. We got 3 minutes left, so if you guys have not yet hit submit, definitely go ahead and do that, because you don't want to be caught running a train like I am, because I got carried away last night, and I'm running in all of my primetime Sunday to Monday. I'm running the same lineup, which it's not very, very good. And my placeholder had mostly players from last night's game that did not perform well. Nelson Aguilar, what the hell, buddy? What the hell? Did you see him alligator arm that one? He had just nothing but fields of green in front of him.
I did. We had a long discussion about Nelson Aguilar today. Lofty was not too happy. So.
Oh, I bet, because he's being the Phillies fan there. So we'll have to see. Yobo Goodgreens, shout out for him. We got a minute and a half left here, but so they'll be hearing this about time we're off. So again, the last things, nothing crazy. You're gonna want to play the Patriots, but if you want to win, you should probably mix in some New York Jets and hope for a goofy game script, or and then lucking into the 1 or 2 Patriots that have everything consolidated to them.
And captain's I think Osmo's projections would say relative to ownership, it's Le'Veon Bell and Sonny Michel are your best bets at the captain spot.
Yeah, and it's not fun to play them there. It's not. But that's what do you want? Now you see why Alex is up there at the top of tournaments all the time. He's willing to go against the grain. So is Tom. How about Two Gun? God, that guy he's won. He won the $1 million. So you think he was a top 10 this week on DraftKings in their Millionaire Maker. He won the $1 million 3 years ago, I think, on DraftKings. There was another site called Fantasy Throwdown. I think he won $500,000 on there for one of their big year-end tournaments that they geared up all season for. He's a phenomenal player. You see him up there near the top. He's an amazing fantasy football guy. But if you go look at his teams, I mean, he'll be the one to tell you these aren't comfortable. I'm going to have big weeks, and then I'm not going to make anything for a while. But he's smart enough with his bankroll management and being steady Eddie throughout the time and taking a longer time horizon view of this stuff. So, it's easier to do on the daily sports football, a little tougher because there's 17 weeks, 2 more for the main sorry, I'm blanking, the playoffs and everything else. So 19 weeks is a small sample size. So you got to look at this with a 2-3 year time horizon before you have enough data. Or as you can say, there's 58 whatever primetime slates that we get. So some are going to be bad, some are going to be good. We had someone in the chat last week that swore quarterbacks were horrible in these showdown formats. One, that's not the case. So our buddy does the NASCAR, Phil, I can never pronounce his last name, but Phil B, had a nice little breakdown, and it was basically a third of all the optimal captains so far this season in just the primetime games have been quarterbacks. So, and then the other thing you want to remember is if you go look at all 17 or what was it, all 16 games that are played basically every week, put those in the sample size too. It's just because we arbitrarily pick these 3 games a week that makes it a little weird. But let's talk baseball. Baseball. The Nationals are in the World Series, Nolan. I got to be excited, okay? I got to be excited. I now no longer root for the the two teams that have never made a World Series after tomorrow. I will root for the only team that has never made a World Series. That will be the Seattle Mariners, and then I can't say that anymore about the Washington Nationals. But in any event, basketball. So we've got 2 games tomorrow. We have New Orleans and Toronto is an 8 o'clock game, and then after that you've got the battle for LA, and then everything starts in earnest on Wednesday. We have a whole bunch of new offerings that we are going to be giving out this year for our premium members. Now, there's a nice little article on the homepage here, which I will drop the link in chat, that talks about the different things that we have. It's a whole list of what we're putting in front of the paywall, what will be behind the paywall, etc. But we are doing some special stuff with Alex. So do you want to talk about that, or would you like me to?
Yeah, I can let you know about what we have that's new this year. So we have 3 new features that are going to be, maybe 4 new features this year. Someone's edited back partly, but Osmo projections, yeah, those are the same. So we have an Osmo premium blog that basically is going to tie everything together that Alex does all day long, and all his lineup strategy, everything that he has to offer. We have Osmo game plan on YouTube, which is going to be a premium video where he talks about his entire the premium blog is going to be updating on what's going on and how he's pivoting off injury news and news like that, and updating notes on his projections. The game plan is going to be on YouTube for premium members, where he gives out all of his lineup advice and walks you through building lineups. And then we have the Team Osmo survey, which is just going to be all of our experts giving out their favorite plays for the given day. So lots to come over and check out. If you want to sign up for NBA, we have $100 off. You can use promo code NBA Early Bird right now. I'm not sure how long that's valid, but it won't be for much longer. So come and check it out.
All right, and then speaking of Early Bird, we're recording the new podcast here. That'll be up, posted around 10 o'clock tonight. That will be Adam Ship My Money Share and me kicking it off, and then you will get the same cadence. You'll get Laffy and Dan on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You'll get me and Adam on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then, of course, as we have vacations, holidays, and family events, we will mix and match as needed. You'll get the DFS strategy show in the mornings. That will be, we're going to have NFL and we're going to have NBA. So Josh Engelman's going to be on air, I don't know, 17 times a week or something like that. It's pretty crazy. And we've got some free articles and some pay articles that we'll be posting later tonight and first thing tomorrow morning. So definitely check that out. With that, gamers, we're going to get on out of here. Shout out there to Fantasy Draft, the sponsor of the show. Definitely want to check them out for NBA Rake Free. It is a lot of fun. With that, you can follow Nolan on Twitter at Nolan _, yes, not 1 but 2 _ Kelly, and I am at EMACDFS. Of course, it is Osmo _COM. With that, gamers, good luck.